Hello and welcome to this presentation on the 4-H Model Horse Project. Why model horses and 4-H? For those who cannot have a real horse, model horses are a great substitute. Model horse owners can show their horses, learn about all the different breeds, disciplines, and activities, and what kind of tack they need. Also, you develop organizational skills and meet other young horse lovers. To get started, you need at least one model horse. There are a few different kinds of commercially available model horses. Some brands include Breyer, Peter Stone, Heartland, but there's also ones made of china, rubber, or resin. Artists also produce limited editions of their own sculptures. Model horses are put into several different categories. Original finish, also known as OF, are mass-produced. They must be kept in their original factory condition to show as OF. That means no painting of the hooves or adding gloss, etc. These are readily available at toy, tack, and online stores. Customized models start as OF, but then they are altered by painting, repositioning, adding real hair. Customized models are one of a kind, and many, like this one, are portraits of real horses. Showing model horses, we need to be able to identify who owns them. So each horse will get a leg tag. On one side will be the exhibitor number, so the judge knows who owns the horse. And the other side usually has the name of the horse and its breed and gender. There are many different model horse show classes. Halter, also called breed classes. Halters are not actually required, but if they are used, they must be the right kind and fit well for the breed and discipline. Classes may be further divided by breed, color, gender, age depicted, type, brand, finish, and/or scale. Each horse may only be entered in one breed class. Collectability is for those horses that don't look real, like for instance this purple decorator horse. When divided by scale, one of the smallest is the teeny weeny class. These are Breyer stablemates or smaller. In performance classes, they must have tack. It must fit properly and be appropriate for the event depicted. You can add backdrops and props, and horses may enter several different performance classes. The models can be OF or custom. So what are model horses judged on? Original finish models are judged on their quality and condition. The older they are, and if they're still in good condition, they will do better. They cannot be altered in any way that'll disqualify them. If they have scratches or dirty and broken legs, those will count against the model. Factory flaws, that means they came out of the factory with problems, that'll also count against them. In performance class judging, the judge is going to look at the tack and how it fits. Is this tack allowed for the event that it's portrayed as? The bits must be in the corners of the horse's mouth. Since there is no actual bit that goes through the mouth, you use sticky wax to keep it there. They'll also look at rein placement, the scale of the tack, and if it's realistic. The ideal is to make it look as real as possible. Instead of show rings like in a real horse show, model horse shows take place on top of tables. So when the judge calls the class, everyone places their horse on the table. You need to respect other showers, don't move their models or crowd them out. When the judge says class closed, move away and let them get to work. The judge will look very closely at each model. Although they may be the same mold made by the same company, each one will have some differences. So the judge is going to look for those minor flaws. The judge will examine each and every entry. When they decide the winners, they will place the ribbon by the horse. The judge will then say the class is placed, and then everyone comes and picks up their horses. After all the halter classes are judged, the first and second place models are then judged against each other for the championship. Shows may also have collectors classes. Instead of just one horse, you need to have several. They're judged as a group as a whole, not just as individuals. Most collectors have some kind of a theme, such as the same color, the same mold, the same breed, or how the models were acquired. One, for instance, did birthday gifts. Every horse in the collection was a birthday gift. Here is a collection of stablemates. They're easy to collect because they're very small. At our New Jersey 4-H horse show, we also have a county herd class. It's like a collector's class, but each member that's competing needs to submit at least one horse to the group. So in this one, warm bloods was the theme. At the New Jersey 4-H show, we have the creative scene class. This is where the 4-H members can really let their imagination run wild. The scenes can be realistic, like this one, showing settlers on the prairie with their horses, or kind of silly, like this scene of Dad coming home with his briefcase and Mom's doing the chores, with the foals all excited to see his dad. In showmanship, a halter or a bridle is required depending on if it's English or Western, or certain breeds show with specialized halters. If you use a doll, you got to make sure that he or she stands up well, but you can go without a doll and use a stick or something to attach the lead line to. That does not count against you. In some classes, you will need explanation cards. You write an explanation of what the horse is doing and place it by your entry. You need to do this for most performance classes, especially if they're doing something unusual. If it's like a Western pleasure class, everybody knows it's Western pleasure, but in this, it says trail, so the card says the horse is stepping over the cavalettis. Depending on the show, English and Western trail may be separated or they're combined into one class. There are costume classes. These are costumes that you would actually see in real life, like this circus horse or this ceremonial Native American dress. Here is a Western parade costume, something like you'd see in the Rose Bowl parade, and they even have a little road for the horse to walk on. This is an Arabian native costume. Harness classes can have one horse or as many horses as you want, but it only counts as one entry. Western games could include barrel racing, pole bending, the boot race, pretty much anything you'd see at a gymkhana. In some shows, English and Western gymkhana may be in the same class. Other Western performance classes could include Western riding. The explanation card would include the pattern that the horse is expected to perform and what move the horse is actually doing. Other English performance could include dressage. You could just put the horse with the proper bridle and saddle on the table, or you could go all out like this exhibitor did and build an arena. It'll still be judged on fit of the saddle and the correct placement of the bit. Cross-country part of 3-day eventing is another thing you could put in other English performance if there's not a class for it separate. As you can see, there's no rider in this horse, and that's okay. You don't have to have a rider. If you do use a rider, you have to make sure they can do the correct position. Show jumping may be its own class, or it might have to go under other English performance. As you can see, this one has a doll and she's in the proper position. So that really adds to the entry. Customized horses might be divided into simple repaints, repaints and position, or repaint, repositioning, and adding hair. This model started out as a horse that was just standing, and the legs were repositioned so that it's doing a side pass, and then it was repainted. China horses, since they tend to be very fragile, can be shown laying down. You can put a piece of felt underneath, and if you do lay it down, you give permission to the judge to flip them over so they can see the other side. This horse won the championship in the custom division. Customized horses can come in all sizes. Due to the pandemic, there was a resurgence in virtual model horse showing. In the old days, we used to mail photos to the judges, but now we have online shows. So instead of actually going to a show, you take a picture of your horse and you enter it into the show online. Take the photo. You want to make sure it's in focus, that it's not at an odd angle, that the background is uncluttered, and that the lighting is good. As you can see, this one is not in focus. Even though it's not a photography contest, the judge needs to be able to see that what the model actually looks like. So this is much better. The background is uncluttered, and the horse is in focus. To get a good shot, you need to get down on the horse's level. You can either lay down on the ground, or you can raise the horse up. This is actually the back of a pickup truck. So we put all the model horses in the back of the pickup truck and drove to a place where we had nice scenery behind. You don't want to be too far away because you can't really see the model. This is not a very good angle to take the horse from, and the grass is not in proportion to this little tiny horse. You also want to make sure that your camera is level or the horse is level. You don't want him standing on the side of a hill. So you can use real backgrounds. When you focus in on something small, something that's way off in the background will look small too. So this is a real barn in the background. The horse is on a table with sand for footing and a scale wooden fence behind him. So here's an example of a real mountain in the background. The hill is actually the windshield of my car. I covered it with AstroTurf, and then I have some fake evergreen trees and some rocks. You can also create your own backgrounds. This is a barn door, so it doesn't matter that the horse's shadow is on the barn door. If you tried to make fake sky and a shadow's on it, it's not going to look very realistic. Some virtual shows don't want you to have fancy backgrounds. So in this case, just a nice plain wall will do. This is taken inside. The horse is on a table far enough from the wall that its shadow is not cast on the wall. So here are some examples of bad lighting. If the horse is backlit or lit from the side, or if it's in shadows, you don't want a silhouette of the horse. You want to actually be able to see what the horse really looks like. So this is an example of an indoor setup. Since I already had lighting in the ceiling, that worked. I put the snack tray up so I can put the horse on it, and then I don't have to bend down because I'm actually fairly tall, so it's hard to bend down. So it took some practice, but I had to figure out where the best lighting was. So here's different examples of the same model, but depending how far away it was from the light in the ceiling. So further away is better, but not so close that the horse's shadow is going to end up on the wall. And you can see the difference in color, how the horse looks. Here's another example of how different the same horse can look in different lighting. And more examples. This is the same horse, but yet he looks totally different colors depending on how bright the light was. And here's another example of horses that have white. In artificial light, they can look yellow. Natural light, it'll look more white. Sometimes the really teeny tiny horses, once you blow them up, they don't look very good and they won't show well in virtual shows. Some shows will include classes for tack and obstacles that you made. They are judged on the workmanship of the piece itself, not the horse. But you usually have to show it on a horse. This is a halter made by the exhibitor. So other model horse activities you can do through the 4-H program are tack making workshops, repainting workshops. You can host a virtual show and have the kids judge, and host a live show. Sometimes it's fun to take horses out in a natural setting. We were up at the 4-H camp in Sussex, New Jersey, and we went for a walk in the woods. And this was the back of a tree that had fallen down, and so the moss had grown on it. So we were having a little fun and saying that Brenda fell off her horse. And another example of an Arabian native costume. In 4-H, we require you to keep records, so we do have a 4-H model horse project record book. This is a great way to keep track of all the horses that you own. And some people have hundreds, if not thousands. If you don't want to list all of them, you could just list the ones that you routinely show. You need to keep track of everything you buy, including props and tack and equipment, storage tubs, whatever it is, gets put on this page. We have a page for anything that you made. What did it cost to buy the supplies and what did you make? Put a picture of that item. So if you spend any money, you need to keep track of that. So entry fees, purchases, cost of transportation, anything that you need to spend to do this hobby. So model horses are more than just toy horses. It's a great way to learn about different breeds, tack, and uses of horses. 4-Hers learn about keeping records of inventory, sales, and trades. They learn how to pay attention at a show. It's a great way to learn photography and to learn how to keep organized. And of course, you have some fun. This is my pet rat driving my Arabian horse.